All right, welcome everyone, and thank you again for jumping on. So this is our second to last session for the graduate student admitted student webinar series. So today we are going to focus on the graduate student worker positions we offer to our grad students in Saunders. So Peggy is going to highlight the process with that, kind of what we look for with grad students, and kind of the positions that are available. Peggy does a ton of the work with that process. So we'll jump into that, and then we'll open it to Q&A. But as I mentioned, I don't think this particular session will go the full hour, but we'll certainly, field any questions that folks have. But Peggy, I think I'll turn it over to you, and then I can jump in, as needed. But I know this is really your area, so we'll jump in here and then take it from there.
Perfect, thanks. What I thought I would do is start off just giving you a general idea of what the big picture process looks like. And then for fun, I went back to the faculty needs from last year and kind of compiled a bullet list of some of the things, tasks they were looking for and skills they had asked for, just to give you a better idea. But we call our positions graduate student workers versus, I think people are often used to seeing graduate assistants, GAs or TAs or RAs. We do not have those specific allocations in Saunders College. We call them graduate student workers because the students' tasks are really pretty divergent and pretty diverse. So we do not use students in the classroom. We feel that at this point in time, students are paying private university costs. You're entitled to have the full-time faculty member as your teacher, your instructor. So we do not utilize those. Some of the roles will be involved with supporting the faculty in their research, but it'll be at different types of levels and different types of tasks. So you'll see the term GSW or graduate student worker used. So I wanted to kind of familiarize yourself with that. We typically will do a session as part of orientation on graduate student workers, the process, and give you a chance to get the paperwork involved to fill out to apply for one. We don't do it ahead of time because in the past when we've done it, we'll come to sometimes September and all of a sudden a couple of the students who receive positions maybe weren't able to enroll in classes, and then we're starting the process all over again. So at that orientation, there are two forms that get filled out. One is I ask the students to fill out a sort of skills sheet, and it's fairly easy. You can kind of check off boxes of different skills that you feel you've got competency in. The faculty are filling out a similar type of form so that we can actually make a match based on the skill sets that you bring in and the skill sets and tasks that the faculty member are looking for. Sometimes students will say, I want to work with a finance faculty, or I want to work with a marketing faculty. I try to factor that in where I can, but there are times where a student will have a specific skill that a faculty member needs, and it's outside of your field of primary interest. So I will make a match at that point. The feedback I've gotten for students has actually been really positive on that. The initial responses, I was really hoping to work with a finance faculty. I ended up with a marketing faculty, but I actually really learned a lot about some different types of things and different components of business. So I try to encourage students, keep an open mind, and know that the match was made with considerable thought. So once the match is made, you're notified that you've been assigned to work with faculty X, and you will reach out. You'll be given the name of the staff assistant who will work with you to get the hiring paperwork accomplished. Once that is done, you're able to start working. So that's sort of the overview on that. The second document that you'd be signing and filling out with me is sort of the policies, responsibilities, kind of like a contract type of thing, an employment offer. So basically, we're asking students to be able to work, generally speaking, be available during traditional work hours, which would be sort of that 7-ish to about 6, 7 at night time frame. That's not to say that necessarily your position is going to require you to work exactly during those time frames. But what we want to avoid is a student finding another part-time job that works during the day and then telling their faculty member they're only available either on a weekend or at night, which doesn't match up with the faculty needs to be able to communicate with their student. The positions are typically 8 to 10 hours a week. They are paid positions. The salary, I don't have the exact amount we're moving to in the fall, but it's somewhere in the area of approximately $12.50, $13 an hour. The positions are offered for the academic year. We don't use graduate student worker positions during the summer. There may be cases, because we're not sure what the situation fully is for fall, where you will be potentially allowed to work from home or off campus, but the preference is for students to be working on campus when and wherever possible. Your positions are offered for the, as I say, the full academic year. The only conditions that a student will likely potentially be terminated would be breaching confidentiality, failing to perform the number of hours that are requested of you, failure to accurately record your time worked, failure to comply with New York State regulations on taking a 30-minute break if you're working for 5 hours and 59 minutes or more, failure on the quality of work that you're being asked to perform, engaged in academic dishonesty, failing to progress academically through your program, or inability to be able to perform your work responsibilities at a time that matches with the faculty expectations. So that's kind of the big picture on the process itself, our expectations of the students. I will say that our faculty are really flexible on arranging work schedules with students. They understand that your first priority is your academics, that your students. So there may be weeks where you've got a couple of exams. So you work out with the faculty member that perhaps that you're going to work 4 or 5 hours that week and then make up the time over the following week or the week before, so that it sort of levels out. But what I prefer not to see is a faculty member consistently trying to ask you to work for more hours than they've been allocated, or a student being pressured to work during times that are high peak stress periods for them. So I always tell students, when in doubt, or if you have a question on something, check with me on it. I teasingly say that the faculty member is your manager and I'm the CEO. So, you know, when there are questions on it, the faculty members need to come and clear it with me. And I ask the students to feel comfortable coming to me if there's any kind of a concern or a problem cropping up. Questions on that so far? I'll take a break and see if there's questions on the big picture process. You guys are pretty quiet today. Well, I'll give it time while you think. I'll kind of touch base on some of the tasks that I consolidated to give you some ideas. I will say that it's predominantly faculty that receive them, but we have a couple of administrative positions where you might be assigned to work in the student services area, supporting us in some of our marketing or recruitment activities. The dean's office occasionally will ask for a graduate student worker to assist them with projects coming out of the dean's office, or some of the department chairs or program directors sometimes are seeking some support. So those roles will be slightly different than the traditional faculty role. So some of the things the faculty have asked for in the past are collecting and cleaning data, someone who can work on a research related to business models in higher education, collecting articles from newspapers and other periodicals according to pre-selected criteria using library electronic databases, conduct primary research in concert with the faculty member and knowledge of Google Scholar, manuscript formatting, literature reviews, verifying transcriptions, and compiling and formatting reference lists. Someone to work on analysis and writing R scripts, analysis carried out in R packages such as SNA, network, ERGM, and if the student's not fully familiar, to be able to learn the basics on their own. Collect and code raw data from documents to Excel spreadsheets. Transcribe interviews and collect data from websites. Conduct telephone and/or in-person interviews. Do data analysis. Helping with research project in blockchain and auditing between US and China. Ability to write brief summaries of research articles, proofread manuscripts, and analyze qualitative data are some of the tasks that students have been asked to perform in the past. And some of the skills are comfortable with databases and software analysis with programs such as SPSS, comfort with Excel and learning new software platforms for data entry, statistics, ability to conduct Boolean searches, fluent reading for business documents such as annual reports, fluent in R and/or Python, proficiency in Stata, Tableau. Again, statistics is a biggie. Qualitative data analysis, programming in C or Java, understanding Chinese language to do transcription work, familiarity with EndNote and Zotero, and good understanding of fundamental business terms, concepts, and frameworks. So that's a pretty broad picture of what they're looking for, the skill sets and the types of tasks and responsibilities for the students. So now I'll open it again for questions. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, but hopefully it was information you were hoping to get out of this session. I think the only other question maybe is how many positions are there? Hasn't been asked. We generally have about 25 positions available each year. Sometimes we've got students who are grad assistants the previous year that the faculty will ask to return if they're going to be for the full academic year. But it has not been problematic in the past. I tell students if for some reason there isn't a position open initially, I hold on to everything because there are occasions where I've had to release a grad assistant or grad student worker from their position, and then I go back to the group that I've had on hold.
I have a question, Peggy.
Okay, sure.
So like time speaking, when will we start making those applications?
I do it as part of the orientation. So when we do a general orientation for all new incoming students, I think it's like mid-August, and there'll be a session available for students to attend where I kind of have them fill out the skill sheet, the other sheet, and then the last piece is I ask students to bring a resume. So I basically have 3 documents in hand when you're finished. And then it probably takes a week or 2 for the matches all to be made. It seems like I get it all done and something shifts and it has to be tweaked a little bit. So students are typically able to start getting the paperwork processed around the second week of the term. If everything goes smoothly, students can start working pretty quickly in the semester.
Okay.
So I think just a couple things that I would add. One being, so these positions are obviously specific to Saunders, but there are opportunities to keep an eye out for across the university as well. So there's positions typically in campus life that are offered, some in residence life, and then there's other just part-time work opportunities on campus too. All of that stuff is in Career Connect. So once you have your RIT login and those credentials, you can log into Career Connect and actually go about, applying for those, those specific roles. So we don't deal with that at all. That's why, we haven't spent time on that, but I just want to bring it to your attention that those are, positions that are available. And the other thing to keep in mind too is, as Peggy kind of alluded to here, is we can't guarantee a GSW position, right? We have a very good number. 25 is that's a high figure, right? But we can't necessarily guarantee one of those opportunities. Now, we do pretty darn good in placing the majority of students in GSW positions, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. So it is still more or less an application process. So just keep that in mind too. But yeah.
I would say to build off of that, I think the more skills that you have that are related to, what I kind of rattled off, the higher the likelihood of a position being found for you. The ones that are more difficult are students with no experience with, conducting library research and have no skills really in statistics or any of the more technical skills. The fewer skills, the harder it is to place them with a faculty member, which I think just makes sense.
So any other questions that folks have?
We must have done a really good job of putting out information out there.
Okay. All right. So I am going to stop this recording now, but I also want to let you guys, if you have questions on other things unrelated to GSWs, I'm going to stop this recording, but stay on if you want. And if you have other questions just about, because I know we're at a point in time where a lot of deposits are due, enrollment stuff is coming up. But so, but again, thank you guys for jumping on today, and I'll